I said, my name's Matt. I came through the program here, let's see, like a year and 6 months ago, something like that. Something like, maybe a little longer than that. It might have been a little longer than that. I'm not really sure on the direct date. Yeah, something like that. So I was born in Allentown, Pennsylvania. My parents, we moved here and there and everywhere. We didn't really settle down, so I never really made friends in the beginning. That's probably like why I had so much people problems to begin with, is because like I never really had friends. As soon as I would get comfortable with somebody, we'd move again. You know what I mean? My parents were dirt poor. We never had nothing, so we were living with family. We lived in our car for one time. We were just trying to survive. My dad was like working wherever he could, so we had to travel a lot. And you know, it was really hard. People would make fun of me in school. You know, we never had, like I said, we never had like anything. So, you know, we used to go with like banged up clothes, and you know, it was really tough, like as a kid. And so when I got a little bit older, my brother is a lot younger than me. So when I got a little bit older, I started working and would like help him with his clothes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So he didn't have to go to school like I did. And you know, because I remember like that feeling. You know what I mean? Like especially like the first day, everybody goes in, everybody has like at least one set of good clothes. You know what I mean? And one set of like nice shoes. And like I never had that. You know what I mean? Like I would go in whatever hand-me-downs we got from like my cousin or whatever, and it was probably the same thing that I wore like the past 2 years. It didn't even fit me right, and so it was like embarrassing, you know. So like I remember that, and so I never wanted him to feel like that. You know what I mean? I always had like a good heart, and then you know, like addiction kind of like got rid of that. You know what I mean? I just didn't care about anything anymore. But let's keep it like let's keep it. Let me keep it where I was going. So I graduated high school. I went to Ridley. Graduated Ridley. I went for electrical residential wiring. I did that for a little while. I fell off a ladder. I got hurt. Somebody was supposed to be footing the ladder. So I don't know if you know what that means, but somebody's supposed to keep their foot on the ladder while you climb. And the ladder gave way, so the kid wasn't footing it. The guy was supposed to be, and I fell and dislocated my shoulder and herniated like 2 discs in my back. So they gave me Dilaudid. And now mind you, like my entire life, I said I would never be like my parents. My parents are alcoholics, like heavy alcoholics. They do drugs too, but mostly alcohol. So I said I'd never be like them ever. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do good and do what I have to do, and I just don't want to go down that path. And so they put me on this Dilaudid stuff, and that went right out the window. Dude, that's like, I felt so good. I felt like that feeling that was never there, that I always wanted to feel, like that I thought made me whole. You know what I mean? It was better than sex, love, like any of those things that I've ever felt. And I wanted to feel like that all the time. So I started doctor shopping. I was going to all kinds of different doctors, getting all these kinds of prescriptions, you know, oxycodone, Oxycontin, whatever I could get. I was selling pills, doing pills. I ended up getting arrested not too long after that, and that was like my first little stretch. And you know, so I got out. I did a recovery meeting, a recovery house, you know, recovery rehab and all that. And wanted to do something like, you know, different. Like I still had like that. I always had like that drive. Like I wanted to do something different. You know what I mean? I just couldn't do it because I never. It took me a long time to like find my place. I guess I had to get out of my system, get all that young stuff out of me. You know what I mean? And stop thinking I could do it my way. But so anyway, so I went to rehab, went to a recovery house. I ended up leaving. It bounced you in and outs like that, in and out, and when stuff like really started like getting worse, I was doing you know, perks and everything like that. They stopped giving out prescriptions for that stuff. It started getting really hard, you know, to get it. It was really expensive. I wasn't used to, you know, paying money like that, and so I had to, do something else. And people were doing heroin, so I started with that, snorting that, and it turned into like shooting that. You know what I mean? I'm doing that every single day. Again, like I didn't. Once it hit that point, you know what I mean? Once I started doing like cocaine and heroin and stuff like that, I didn't care about anybody or anything. You know what I mean? I just cared about that next one. Who can I manipulate? Who can I burn? What stores can I rob? You know what I mean? I would do anything and everything to get one more. You know what I mean? That's all I cared about. And in and out of jails, in and out of rehabs. God, I must have went to like 20 of them. You know what I mean? 20 rehabs. Some were court stipulated, some weren't. Let's see. Yeah, it was a real, hard road for me. In the beginning, like I had things, you know what I mean? I never went back in the electrical field, but I worked my way up in the restaurant field. So from busboy all the way up until I was managing places. And somehow I was able to do that like in my addiction. And, I still did really good. But I was like living out of my car, you know what I mean? I was late to open the restaurant up. It was crazy. Thinking back on it, it was crazy that I was able to like juggle that. And I know everybody knew. I just thought that I had it. I thought that I had it like figured out, and like nobody knew. But I know everybody had to have known. You know what I mean? Like it was. I mean, you had to see like the signs, man. I was like bagged up. I was probably like 140 pounds. Scarred up, white as a ghost, whiter than I am now. It was the signs were definitely there. So I know that they knew. You know what I mean? But in my head, I didn't think that they did. So, I guess I got away with it for a little bit longer until, like I said, like once those jobs ran out and I started getting fired from those places and people started to see, what I was really about, I became homeless. Like I lost everything, you know what I mean? So I would run the streets for a year, get locked up, run the streets for, they let me go, run the streets for another year, try and catch me if you can, and they would, and I would go right back to jail and do it all over again. And I just, there was a point to where I just didn't care like at all, you know what I mean? Like in the beginning, I was like, I'm gonna get my life together at some point. I'm gonna stop doing this cycle, that we all do, in and out, in and out, in and out, and it just got to that point to where like I didn't care, and I didn't want to get sober anymore. I didn't care if I lived or died, you know what I mean? So the time in jail was like a little bit of time to get my weight up and get my head straight and then go back out and do it again. And so multiple attempts, you know what I mean? Methadone clinics, Suboxone, Vivitrol, all man-made stuff, IOPs, outpatients. I went to Teen Challenge. I was in what's that place you were in? City Team. I was in City Team. My family. I do have some good in my family. Like some people in my family, they really care about me, and they tried to send me out to places, to Florida. They tried to send me, but it got to a point where like they were tired of helping me because I would just do the same thing over and over again. I mean, I would go to places and then leave the same day. You know what I mean? And then call my grandmom or call my aunt or whatever and be like, hey, I'm leaving here. And she'd be like, dude, are you serious? Like, you just got there. And I'd be like, yeah, well, this place sucks, and I got to get out of here. And you can't smoke. I remember the Teen Challenge. You can't smoke here. They took my Advil away. I can't even have Advil in this place. How am I going to sleep and all this stuff? Just making like excuses because, I wanted to do things my way still. And, like I just had that mindset like where I just didn't care. And whoever would buy my BS, I would bring it to them. You know what I mean? Like I would try to get over my grandmom, help me out, get me a bus ticket or whatever out of here. I would just try to do whatever I could to just get my way, because that's all I wanted was my way. You know what I mean? I didn't care. you know, whatever, when anybody told me, it was just on the back burner. Like, yeah, I would say, yeah, you're right, and put on this big show and all that, but for real, I didn't care about anything you were saying. You know, I would just act like I cared, you know, but really deep down in me, like, I didn't want to hear any of it, and I still wanted to do what I wanted to do. And after years and years of doing this same thing, and me getting a little bit older, I guess I got a little bit wiser, because something like clicked back on me that I had in the beginning, which was like I actually wanted to be sober. Like, I really didn't want to live this life anymore. You know what I mean? I remember walking around in Philly and like seeing everybody go to work, and people were like looking at me, like, then they like look away from me. You know what I mean? Because they were like scared or whatever. You know? And I was like, dude, this is what it's become. You know what I mean? People are like going to work and doing what they have to do, and I'm just out trying to get one more, running the streets, like with nowhere to go, looking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a horrible existence, dude. And I felt like this big. You know what I mean? So something like clicked back in me and like awoken in me to where I was like, you know, I need to do something else about this. I need to do something about this, because I just don't want to feel like this anymore. You know what I mean? Feeling like you're nothing. You know what I mean? People looking at you like you're nothing. Walking into a store, people are watching everywhere you go because they think you're going to steal something. You know what I mean? Because I probably was, you know. And if you didn't watch me, I was going to take whatever you had. And but I just didn't want to feel like that anymore. You know what I mean? I wanted people to be proud of me. I wanted people to say, like, you know, like if I died that day, like what was people going to say about me? Like I was just a junkie. You know what I mean? That's what they would say. And I mean, that was the truth, you know. And like I don't want to end it like that. So like I reached out, and this last time I went to jail, and they were going to send me to the street. And I said, if you send me to the street, like you always do, it's not going to be good. Like, I'm going to go right back out, and I'm going to end up right back in here. I don't know why you guys just keep letting me out and do whatever, you know what I mean? Just go ahead. You put me on probation, you let me out, and you expect me to come back on probation. So they were like, we'll put you in a hotel room for 60 days or something like that. Delaware County's like starting this new thing where we could put you in a hotel room if you fill out all this paperwork. So I filled out the paperwork, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, this isn't good either. I can't, you know, you're just putting me out in a hotel room. Like, I'm going to end up doing the same thing that I always do, and I'm probably going to get booked in that hotel room. You know what I mean? So I went and talked to whoever that lady is up the end of the hall. She's like a caseworker or whatever. I went and talked to her and was like, I need to get into rehab. And she was like, all right, well, do you have insurance? So I told her, yeah, and, you know, all this stuff. And so they put me at a pyramid, and it was like super far away, you know what I mean? And like the old me like came in and was like, dude, you don't want to go all the way out there. Like, how are you going to get back to Philly? That's so far, like, you know what I mean? But it was good though, you know, like I needed to go that far. Like I had to stop telling people what I needed and what needed to be done for me, because like my way wasn't working. You know what I mean? Even though I had that bright idea to like go to this rehab and not go to the hotel and like do the same thing, that's just one good idea out of like a million bad ones that I've had. You know what I mean? And so like I knew that my mind like wasn't right. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I'll go out here. I'll do whatever you guys want. So I went out there. I stayed the full 30 days. I graduated, and they wanted me to go to like MVP or something like that. And that was like the only place they were sending people. I guess they had like a contract with them or something, but that was like the only place they were sending people. And so I called around, and I found this place, and I talked to Kevin, and I came here. And still, like, the reason why I didn't want to go to MVP is because I didn't want to be told what to do. You know what I mean? I still wanted to do things my way, and because my mind is still not right. You know what I mean? I still have the same bad ideas. I mean, to this day, you know what I mean? I still have, my mind is still not all the way right. Like, you know, it'll say go left when really I need to go right. You know what I mean? So like a lot of things I run by people that I trust that could steer me in the right direction. You know what I mean? Even though like you know, I have a lot of time now, but still, you know, your mind is still sick. So like still to this day, I have to run things by people and make sure that like I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I didn't want to go to MVP because I knew if I went there, it was going to be, they were going to tell me everything, you know, that was wrong with me. They were going to do this and that, and I had like the worst situation set up in my mind, so I didn't want to go there. So I talked to Kev. They brought me in here. I didn't know that this place was like Christ-centered. You know what I mean? So when I came here, I was like, I don't really want nothing to do with that, you know, and you know, John sat me down and like really like worked with me and molded me. You know what I mean? He took a lot of time with me, and you know, I needed somebody like that. You know, and there was a lot of people in this program, you know what I mean, in the beginning that helped me get to where I was at today. You know what I mean? That's why I really don't mind helping people now. Well, I like helping people now because it was done for me. You know what I mean? It was done for me. When I first got here, I had nothing. I went to jail to rehab, so I had no clothes, not a dollar to my name. You know what I mean? I had absolutely nothing. Kev helped me out. He bought me a pack of cigarettes. You know what I mean? The first day I was there, he made me something to eat. You know, and you know, it was people like that like looked out for me, and that's why I stayed. You know, and I did the best that I could here. Like I really, really tried. I didn't want to go back and revert to whatever I was doing. You know, and little by little, they started feeding me. They started feeding me God, until finally, like the seed, like just it stuck there and it started growing. You know what I mean? And I actually started believing it. So, you know, I think I'm pretty smart. You know what I mean? I'm not, but I think I'm pretty smart. So I'm like looking everything up. You know what I mean? Is this real? Did this really happen? Show me the proof. You know what I mean? I want to see the proof. You know, I don't care what you say. I want to see the proof. So I started looking into all this stuff, and everything was lining up. You know what I mean? Like it's the only religion where you can actually prove that all this stuff happened. You know what I mean? Everything that they say, there's proof to back it up. You know what I mean? Even today, scientists are finding all kinds of stuff that proves that what they're saying is true. You know what I mean? So I started buying into it, and you know, once I did that, then like that's when everybody went like all in on me. You know what I mean? And they started molding me into like a godly man. You know, and they started showing me little by little, you know, what I needed to do and why it was right. You know what I mean? And doing the right thing for the right reasons. You know what I mean? And that's it. You know what I mean? Not expecting anything back. You know, helping out the next brother because it's right. You know, and being honest. You know what I mean? Being honest, not just lying about stuff, because I was so used to lying and manipulating that it took me a long time to really get that out of my system. You know what I mean? And stop telling little lies over nothing. You know what I mean? Because I would just make stuff up, dude, for like no reason at all. There'd be no reason to lie. And I would just make it up. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, I was there I was there, or I did that, or you know what I mean? And I never did that, never been there. You know, and you know, looking back on it, like I don't know why I did that. I think either because I wanted to be liked, that's probably a big part of it, and also because I was just so used to lying. You know what I mean? That I was just a liar. That's it, you know? But like little by little, when I started reading the Word and I started getting more into the Bible, that just went away. You know what I mean? Like I stopped craving drugs, which is crazy for me, but I actually stopped craving drugs. I don't think about it anymore. Here and there I do, but I mean, really no. You know what I mean? I asked for God to take that stuff away. I asked for Jesus to take that stuff away from me, and you know, and He did. And it wasn't like overnight or anything crazy like that, but it was like every day, every night I would ask for it to get better, and it did. And my life just got better, man. Like once I started doing the right thing for the right reasons, and I started listening to people that knew things, you know what I mean, and started taking information, and I started getting wiser, and started reading books, and started taking all these tests that John wanted me to take, and like do all these things that I, you know, before I'd be like, dude, why am I doing this? You know what I mean? Like, what's it? it's not even going towards anything. Like, why? But it was making me a better person. You know what I mean? And the whole time, like, he was having me do these things because it was credits towards being a counselor. You know what I mean? And I didn't even know any of that in the beginning, but I found out like later on. So so I just knew that like my way didn't work, and I was willing to do what anybody said. You know what I mean? And once I had that mindset, like the sky was the limit, man. You know, and I just keep doing the right things for the right reasons. I'm honest today. You know what I mean? I really care about people today. You know what I mean? I care about all you guys that come in. You know what I mean? I see me when I come in here, and I might be a little hard or like a little shrugged off, you know what I mean, or whatever. But you know, I watch all you guys, and I do care, and I want everybody to succeed. You know what I mean? But you got to prove it to me first. You got to prove you want it. You know what I mean? I'm not just gonna be your best friend or what. I want to see some work put in. You know what I mean? Until I see that, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, but I love seeing guys that stay and bloom. You know what I mean? That's what makes it for me worth it. You know what I mean? I love seeing guys that get some time in and they start doing the right thing for the right reason. And you know, it's not about, and they're helping other people or they're doing things, you know, to help whatever, you know, and it's a beautiful thing to see, man, watching guys grow, you know. And I see it keeps it green for me because I see me coming in, you know what I mean? And then you get to watch people you know, grow and thrive, you know. And you know, so yeah, I just want the best, you know, the best for you guys, and to bring it back on me. So I was just like, I was a messed up individual, man, and I listened, I learned, you know, I read the word, and you know, I did everything that people asked me to do. Even now, like Ryan will have like meetings still, you know what I mean? And I graduated the program, I'm done, you know what I mean? But I still get pulled aside. We go through books, we read things, you know what I mean? He asked me what I think about this stuff, you know. It's never done, you know what I mean? You're never done working on yourself, you know what I mean? But people like us, we want to get to the finish line, but there is no finish line. You just got to keep going, you know what I mean, to the next day. Keep getting better, keep being wiser, keep reading, keep writing, keep working on you, because that's the most important thing. We have a disease that's so bad. Well, it's sin, really. It's disease, sin, you know, I believe it's sin, but we have something that's so bad that we can't just stop doing drugs. You have to work on you. You know what I mean? You got to take all that bad stuff and you got to start molding it into something good. Because if you just stop doing drugs, you're never going to get any better. You're just going to be clean for a little bit until you start using again. You know what I mean? You got to really want this and put the effort in, or you're not going to get anything out of it. You know what I mean? Just sitting there and thinking it's going to work by osmosis like I did for 25 years, you know what I mean, of life I wasted thinking that that's how this thing worked. It's not. I hate to tell you, but it's not, dude. You're going to find out the hard way. You know what I mean? You're going to do this all over again. You're going to have to go through this all over again if you make it back. So, you know, that's just like a little wisdom, because it's the truth. Yeah, so I listened to everything. I soaked up info. I wanted to help people. I did what leaders asked me to do. I knew my way didn't work. I wrote a quote down, so I'm going to end with this, and it's a Bible verse. It says, "Blessed are those," this is James 1:12, "Blessed are those who endure when they are tested. When they pass the test, they will receive the crown of life God has promised." And that means God uses trials to define and strengthen our character, you know what I mean, throughout. So when you think it's a trial or tribulation, he uses things to bring us out of the fire and you know, make us anew, you know, and make us stronger. And so those things in my past were used to make me into another man. You know what I mean? I didn't see it then, but I do now. You know, I had to go through all that to get where I'm at today. And it was a huge price to pay, but because I'm so hard-headed, you know what I mean, God had to keep bashing it into me. And but I learned a lot about myself and you know, about this thing. And So yeah, he uses, trials to refine and strengthen our character. So I really like that passage. That's why I wanted to share it with y'all. That's all I have.
Thanks, Matt.
Visit our website, ghproject.org, and you can donate at ghproject.org/donate. Like and follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. And you can email us at info@ghproject.org. Thanks for watching.